The next part we're going to do is the heart that goes under this middle circle. If you look at your companion cube, there's a heart on each side. So we're just going to create the first one and then make a duplicate of it on the rest. So go ahead and make a sketch on this new face right here. It's the circle that we cut extrude in slightly. So click on it and then click new sketch or create a sketch. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in on this. I'm just going to put my mouse right over the center point and scroll towards myself so that the circle takes up my screen. The first thing we're going to do is use a circle. We're going to put two circles on either side for the humps of the heart, and then we're going to create the bottom part second. So what I'm going to do is just click and make a circle right up here in the upper right hand corner quadrant here. And the circle is going to be 0.5, so I'm just going to type that in and put enter, and that's going to be my first circle. And I'm going to hit dimension here, and I'm going to dimension the center of the circle to the center of my big yellow circle. All the stuff that I'm going to be creating, I'm going to be basing on this middle point circle because I want to center the heart on the middle of the circle. So I'm going to click the center of the circle I just made and the center of my big yellow circle, and I'm just going to move my dimension line up here and click. And the distance here is 0.19, so 0.19 is what I'm going to type in. And I'm going to click on the center point of my circle and the center of this other circle again, but at this time I'm going to pull it out to the right. And this distance is 0.117. Alright, so there's my first circle. I'm going to grab my circle tool again, and I'm going to draw another circle, but this time I'm going to make sure that it's in line with my other circle. So I'm just going to put my mouse over the top of my old circle and just hover the mouse, don't click anything yet, and I'm going to hover it over to this point and make sure that there's a dotted line locking you onto the old circle. And I'm going to click and pull out, and I'm just going to put 0.5, and now I've got a 0.5 circle here as well. These are already in line, so I don't have to do any dimensioning here, but I do need to make it 0.19 away from the center. So I'm going to hit dimension and dimension the center circle to the center of my big yellow circle. And you don't need to line these up necessarily, but bring this dimension up here so you can see it, and it's going to be 0.19 also. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is make our point to where our the bottom of our circle is going to be. So grab a point right here, and I'm just going to line it up with the center here, bring the mouse down, and I'm going to make sure that I'm right on this middle line, that it's in line with the top circle. You don't want it to be off to the side or anything, you just want it to be right on this locked line right here. I'm going to click, and I'm going to dimension from the bottom of the of this point to the center here of one of the circles that I just drew, not the middle circle, this upper left hand corner circle. Pull this out, and I'm going to make this dimension 0.56. So I was pretty close to where it needed to be, and that's where it's going to go. Now I'm going to make one more point. I'm just going to make it on my right circle here, and I'm just going to make it along the bottom right hand corner of the circle somewhere. Make sure that your mouse crosshair is on top of the circle so that it's locked onto the circle line. Click, and I'm going to dimension this point here to the center of my big yellow circle, and I'm going to make this 0.085. Whoop, 0.085. Alright. Now this is where my heart is going to start curving down to the bottom here. And so I'm going to make an arc, which is a semicircle. And with the arc tool, you click where you want it to start, click to where you want it to end, and then you make the arc without clicking. So click at this point right here. It's got to be a green dot, so make sure it's a green dot that shows up on your crosshair. Click. Then I'm going to pull, or just move my mouse without dragging. I don't want to hold down on the button on the mouse. Lock onto this point here with a green dot, click, and then I'm going to make my arc. Now the arc, just go ahead and make an arc going inward this way, and I'm going to make it 2.6. So I'm just going to type that in, 2.6, enter, and there's my arc for my heart. Now I'm going to come over to this side and I'm going to lock onto my circle, and I'm going to, while locking onto my circle, lock onto this other point. You will see a dotted line appear that locks onto this point over here. So just follow this dotted line over, lock onto your circle, make sure that it's also locked onto that point over there so it's in the same place. Click, come down to this point, click again, move my arc in. I'm going to make this 2.6 also. And so there's my heart shape. Now all we have to do is delete these dimensions and trim off what we don't want. So I'm just going to right click and go to done, and I'm going to right click all these dimensions and delete them. These don't matter too much. So go up to trim and just trim off everything in the middle of the heart. And we've got our heart shape. So there you go. Finish sketch, and there's our heart. Now we're going to extrude our heart into our circle here. So it's going to be extruded, let's see, 0.05. So I'm going to extrude the heart here, 0.05, and I'm going to cut extrude, and I'm going to make sure that I'm cutting in the right direction. So I'm just going to choose this direction right here where my mouse is. That way the arrow is going this way. See this gold arrow right here? If I choose the other direction, the golden arrow is pointing the other way, so it means it's going to cut where there's no material. So I'm going to choose the direction that I want to cut into the material. So click OK, and there's our heart. Okay. Just to differentiate this from everything else, I'm going to make this face of the heart pink because that's what color it is on the actual companion cube. So I'm just going to right click this heart face and go to properties, and I'm going to choose pink. These are all in alphabetical order, so just scroll down to the P's and then find pink, click OK, and there's our pink heart. Alright. We're very close to duplicating all this stuff onto the other parts of our cube. The first thing we have to do before we duplicate it is create axes for us to spin around so that we can duplicate this on all faces. It would be a pain to have to cut this into each face individually, so if you just cut one face, then you're fine to duplicate it. So what I'm going to do is make a sketch on the top here. So the first thing I did was went to isometric view or home view right here, and I'm going to make a new sketch on the top here. Now notice that I already have a point right here in the middle of my cube. But even if I didn't want to, or even if I didn't have this point, what I can do is grab my point tool and just click somewhere on the top here, anywhere. And our cube is 3 by 3 inches, so 1.5 would be half of that. I'm going to dimension this point. So click the point and then click the edge, 1.5. And I'm going to go the other direction as well. Click the point, click the edge, go out this way, 1.5. So it went right on top of my old point. I could have just made the point right there, but I just want to show you how to do it in case you didn't have that point there, or in case you wanted to do it on a blank square. You could just dimension it 1.5 and 1.5. Click Finish Sketch, and then I'm going to grab an axis. Right up here, the work axis, click the axis tool, click the point, and then click the face that you want it to go through. Now look at there, we got a point going right through we got an axis going right through the point, so we can spin around it. We did the same thing with the shuriken. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this face. Click it, create a new sketch. Our point is already there, so I'm actually just going to put my point right over the top of this yellow dot. Make sure it's green, not yellow. Okay, now I got a point there. Click Finish Sketch, grab your axis tool, click the point, click the face. Now we've got two axes. Alright, now we're ready to do circular patterns. Now the first circular pattern I'm going to do is this way, so it's going to go around horizontally. So I'm going to go to my circular pattern, and my features, I'm going to choose pretty much everything I've done so far except for the cube itself. So the cube itself is extrusion 1. Extrusions 2, 3, and 4 are all the things I want to copy. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do extrusion 2, 3, and 4. One thing that I want to do, and I think that it's going to work fine, sometimes it doesn't, is adding fillets. So right before I do this circular pattern, I'm actually going to cancel this really quick, and I'm going to add some fillets to my item first. We are going to add chamfers, which are angled cuts into this, because if you notice, all of these edges have angular cuts, and Inventor will automatically angular cut everything for us. And sometimes when you do those on this front face, it doesn't circular pattern well. And so instead, I'm just going to add fillets or rounded corners to this circle. So I'm going to fillet this first face right here, and I'm going to make it 0.125 is actually exactly what we want, which is the default. So the radius is 0.125. Click apply. And I'm also going to fillet the edges of my heart. So I'm going to fill it again, but this time I'm going to change my value to 0.02. And once you've changed this radius, just click this white area here. And then I'm going to do this to the edges of my heart. So I'm going to do the edge here, here, and the inner edges. So make sure all the edges of the heart are selected. Just like that. Click apply. And now we've got kind of a curved area here on our heart. Now I'm glad that I stopped before I did a circular pattern, because there is one more thing that we want to add to this that I forgot about. If you look at your cube here, we've got these indentations right here as well. These are easy enough to add, so let's go ahead and add those right now before we do our circular patterns. These little pink lines that go down the middle of our cube. I'm going to make that on this face right here, this dark gray face, or the face that's behind my circle. So it's the face that we've extruded in. Click on that face so that it's highlighted, and then click New Sketch. Go to my front view, and what I'm going to do is create parallel lines and then connect them at the top. So I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to not go in the center, but at just a little off center from where I used to be. I'm going to click and go down to the very bottom arc right here and lock onto this yellow line right here. And then I'm going to make another one right next to it. Make sure that it's parallel, perpendicular to the ground. Lock onto that line right there as well. Okay, now I'm going to dimension these, and I'm going to use the middle of this circle to do it. So if I approach the middle of this circle when I dimension, you'll see that it lights up red. But if you can't see through this thing, right now this heart thing is in front of our sketch. If you hit the F7 key on your keyboard, it'll make that disappear temporarily, and so you can see through to your to the solid piece that you're drawing on top of. So click on this middle dot right here, and then this line, and then move your oh, forgot to dimension. Dimension first, click this middle line dot and then this line, bring it down here, and this number is going to be 0.06. And then this one's the same. Click on the middle dot and then this line, and this one's also going to be 0.06. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing. Line tool, I'm going to just draw it from this side. Click here, go through, make sure that it's parallel to the ground, lock onto this edge, and then do the same thing here. Lock onto this edge, and then I'm going to dimension it. So I'm going to click on the dot in the middle, and then the line here, and I'm going to make it 0.06. And same thing here, this line to the dot in the middle, 0.06. And I'm going to take my line tool, and I'm just going to complete these lines. So I'm going to click on the edge of the line, making sure it's green when I click on this edge, and then I'm going to go to this little rounded area here, and then I'm going to make sure it's green, a green dot showing up here as well. Click, and then lock onto here. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to lock on green here and come out to the little arc here, and the same thing here. Click and lock onto this arc. Finish sketch. and I'm going to extrude, and we're just going to extrude the same distance, 0.05, and we're going to extrude both of these rectangles here. You may have to go into the middle here, the middle of the arc, to actually get it to highlight. See this highlight right here? If you have trouble, I'll help you on this step. But just see where my mouse is coming down to the middle of the heart here, and now I've got this rectangle right here. Click that, and then this rectangle as well. So I got both of these rectangles selected. 0.05, cut extrude it, and make sure it's going in the right direction, which it looks like it is. Click OK, and now we've got that cut into our cube. And I'm going to go ahead and make this extrusion, or these faces here, pink as well. So I'm going to right click, go to properties, choose pink. Alright, now we got our pink lines. Perfect. Now it's time for us to do our circular pattern. So I'm going to circular pattern this around both of these axes. Once again, as I was saying, I'm going to use my circular pattern up here. For my features, I'm going to choose extrusion 2, 3, 4, fillet 1, fillet 2, and extrusion 5. And then I'm going to choose rotation axis, and I'm going to use this as my axis right here. And it's right now placing 6 items on. I want it to do 4, and you'll see that it now lines up on all the sides right here. So I'm going to click OK. So now I've got these cut in. You won't see these colors show up because I manually changed them for these faces, but we can change it on all these faces individually. It's just clicking a couple of items and making them pink. And then we're going to rotate around this axis too. But right now we have this heart right here. If we rotate this item around this face, and it goes on this face, and then on this face, and then wraps around the bottom, you're actually going to get not a heart here. It's just going to be bad. It's just going to make a bad shape. So we're going to have to modify our circular pattern for the other thing. I just got a save reminder, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to name this companion cube. You can go ahead and name yours companion cube. I'm just going to name mine companion cube 2 because I already have one called companion cube. So I'm going to click OK. Oops. I didn't push save. Save. Alright. Companion cube 2. You can just name yours companion cube. Okay, now I'm going to rotate around this axis. So I'm going to use my circular pattern. And my features again are going to be extrusion 2, 3, 4, fillet 1, fillet 2, and extrusion 5. And my rotation axis is going to be this one. And I'm going to change this to 4. Now what I was saying before is this would make 2 hearts. It would cut this heart twice if I went on this face right here. So the thing that I want to do is actually do a 2 placement instead of 4. And that way it's going to go on the front and the back. But I don't want to go 360 degrees either. I want to go 90. If I choose 90 degrees, then it will only go on this face here, and it'll leave the back face alone. So I'm going to click OK. So now I've got it showing up on this side, but not this side, which is good. And I'm going to do one more circular pattern, and I'm going to choose extrusion 2, 3, 4, fillet 1, fillet 2, extrusion 5. Rotation axis is going to be this axis again, and I'm going to change my placement to 2 again. And this time, instead of 90 degrees, I'm going to do negative 90 degrees, and that way it's going to go on this face instead. And then all of our faces will be covered. Go ahead and click OK. And now we've got our cube cut out exactly how we want it. If you if you do a circular pattern this way and this way, then the back heart will be all messed up. So this way is very nice. Okay, once you have done your rotations with your circular patterns, you can go ahead and turn the visibility off for these sketches and work axes. So I'm going to right click sketch 6, turn the visibility off, right click work axis 1, turn the visibility off, right click sketch 7, turn the visibility off, and work axis 2, turn the visibility off. So now we've got our cube. So pretty much now all we have to do is color it and chamfer the edges. Chamfering the edges can get tricky, so make sure that you pay attention to what I do, and then you'll be fine. But right now, if we want to color these, if I just click on the heart and hold Control and click on the next heart, everything will highlight. And so I'm going to click on the hearts and these crosses, so hold Control, click again. One very important thing to note when you're selecting multiple things, if I hold Control and just click on this line, for example, if I were to click on this line right now, it would mess up. I wouldn't be able to change the colors. So make sure you're choosing faces, not edges. So hold Control, click here. Hold Control and click this heart and this cross. And then Control on this heart and this cross. Click. And then I think, let me see. This bottom one needs to be done. Hold Control and click this one and this cross. And it looks like we got everything. So all you have to do is right click on any of the stuff that you've selected. So I'm just going to right click on this heart here. Go to Properties. Choose your pink color. Click OK. And you got your pink color. Very nice. Now I'm going to click on all these. Click, hold Control. Just clicking on these inner circles here. Make sure that you're not just frantically clicking, because you could make a mistake and then you'll have to start over. So make sure that you're very deliberate where you're clicking before you click. Looks like we got everything that we need. I'm going to right click one of these faces and go to Properties. And I'm going to choose the property as gray. Click OK. And now we've got that dark gray as our color. We're just about done. We just need to chamfer this thing and then we'll be all set.